Welcome in, everybody. We are starting early with a Saturday morning camp review. Welcome back to Mailbox Sports. Today we are going to deliver a few hot takes straight from the Bears training camp. Might tease some topics about maybe the biggest standout we've seen so far, any camp concerns we have, and obviously we'll talk about some unexpected roster moves. Appreciate everybody pulling up this morning. Today, we will do a bit of review on some commentary from the guys you see pictured on the screen. Over the week, we have had numerous discussions about the Chicago Bears and things that might be happening in training camp leading up to Sunday's preseason game. Those things right there might be stuff that reverts to chemistry, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, defensive plays that may have gotten the crowd hype and so on and so forth. So we get to talk about some of those things. What we will do is take a bit of a time to listen to some of these commentaries, live time or real time right now, see exactly what is said, and see if we can make sense of it on either side to decide whether or not we agree, disagree, or maybe, just maybe, there is a bit of truth to the things that are going on surrounding Chicago Bears. Our first snippet for listening in will come from none other than Colin Cowherd. Not a Cowherd fan, just to let everybody know. Nonetheless, Colin has some very hot take-ish type of approaches to his show. And so we'll go right ahead and get into it. Without further ado, we listen to him and get back to a bit of commentary. Give me a moment. Let's get those clicks. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Go ahead and tell your friends. Tab your boy up and join in the discussion. Let's see what Colin Cowherd has to say about Caleb and the Bears.
One tip ball, another one horrible pass. So 3 days in a row, it's gotten a little bumpy for Caleb Williams. So people say, I hear athletes say this. I hear people say that you can't take a lot from camp. You can see red flags. Positive, negative. Andrew Luck, Jaden Daniels, first week of camp. Commanders Colts. You were hearing glowing reports. Disastrous first dates rarely become great 30-year marriages. I've interviewed lots of people in my life. Disastrous interviews never become great hire. It matters. Sean Payton last year was texting me in August. He's like, Bo Nix, it may take a few starts. Guy's going to be good. By October, Bo Nix, 103 passer rating. You can see good. It can be one of those musical shows. It can be an athlete. It can be an interview. It can be a first date. You can see stuff. What do they say? Men decide in 8 seconds. Women decide in 8 minutes if they want to spend any time with this person. So Caleb Williams was sold as a generational talent. We were all hoping it would be this generation, right? Like, how long do you want us to last and wait? So remember this. Ben Johnson's first year with Jared Goff. Let's go back to that. Remember that Lions team 2022 was not the roster it is now. The O-line wasn't quite set. Jared Goff, first year with Ben Johnson, now the Bears coach. Led the NFL, 29 touchdowns, 7 picks, 7th in passer rating, 6th in passing yards. And again, that Lions team isn't the one now.
Okay. And Jared Goff had been in the NFL for years and had literally already gone to a Super Bowl. He had been in the playoffs. He faced Tom Brady and Bill Belichick in a Super Bowl. So it's safe to say that Jared Goff was a little bit more experienced.
He had a bit more experience before we started. So, when we talk about this, he speaks of how Jared Goff seamlessly, wink wink, converted into learning the offense of Ben Johnson, had no problem adapting, and was well on his way in his first season with 4,000 yards plus. Those 6 in the NFL. His touchdown to interception ratio 29-7 was first, and his passer rating of 99.3. G Honda was 7th overall. And so what he's saying is Caleb, in his first year under Ben Johnson, which is not his 5th year in the league like Jared Goff, because Jared played for the Rams for 4 years before he was traded. So at that point, it begs to answer the question, or ask the question, I have to say, do we believe that Caleb in year 2 in the league, not year 2 in Ben's system, but year 2, after 3 coordinators, that instantly in camp he should look exactly the way in which what's the word I'm looking for? His expectations. Should the expectation be set in the same capacity? And I don't think it should. Personally, I think that as a second-year quarterback, you truly don't know what a player's capability, let alone a quarterback, can be until year 3 fully. And I say year 3 because by year 3, you are starting to formulate a decision as to whether or not this guy can process, whether or not this guy is going to be able to make all the throws, as they want to say, whether or not this guy is going to be worth the money that you will have to spend in the upcoming years in terms of extending him, his 5th-year option, and any quarterback. I am trying to ascertain whether or not the thought processes behind some of these journalists, as we'll call them, is fair and accurate when it comes to the evaluation of Caleb Williams and his alleged struggles. We'll get through a whole week of what people have had to say throughout the course of the week. But right now, let's see if we can snip on past into some things that gets right back into Colin's bullshit. Because Colin likes to say crazy things. But that was he's already asserted the fact that Caleb will not be what we think he is to be.
Different.
Med school, and in 4 years you graduate. But so the typical.
In G Honda, we are trying to ascertain, much like the Steelers, when the Steelers sign people like Odell Beckham Jr., we're trying to really understand why and if it is a legitimate thing that might be an addition to the team. In camp, everything that goes wrong per se, or doesn't look as rosy as it needs to, is instantly taken out on Caleb. We rarely do we hear most people talk about anybody else having issues when it comes to the breakdown of tape or getting in and out of the huddle. Anything that goes along with the offensive structure and things that go along with offensive success, typically your quarterback is going to get the blame as much as he gets the adulation and praise. At the same time, nothing has happened just yet. And I think that right now, because of all of the new shiny toys and the camp buzz around Ben Johnson and his staff, so on and so forth, I think that everything that Caleb does will be scrutinized. And I do not think that most of those things will be able to be swayed on the surface based on conversation. But let's go ahead. We'll move into First Take. First Take had Christopher Canty. He is a journalist and former NFL player who hosts Unsportsmanlike every morning with Evan Cohen, and I can't think of Michelle's last name, but Michelle is a looker. Stay tuned every morning on Sportsmanlike. I think it's 6 a.m. on BET. I mean on ESPN. It's my BET. What are we talking about? G Honda got me thinking about Uncut. Nonetheless, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Notre Dame. The only thing I can get behind Notre Dame G Honda is the fact that the coach has my last name. Otherwise, not really interested. Let's get into some First Take. Stephen A. Smith, Chris Canty, and Marcus Spears, a.k.a. Swagoo. And we're going to go ahead and hear what they got to say about Caleb Williams.
Expenses.
Yeah, Chris Canty did win with the Giants. But
And all the
he
Bears
said some
starters
crazy
will play in
things.
week 2 of the preseason versus the Bills. It's the first time we'll see Williams under Ben Johnson's new offense. Wagyu, what do you expect to see from Caleb?
I expect to see some precision, Molly, some consistency in passing. The protection was awful for him last year, continuity, the understanding of Ben Johnson and what he wants him to get done this week, not overall, but this particular week, and just see them on the same page. We've talked about quarterbacks in Chicago and the bad situations they've been in, offensive coordinators, all of these things. That excuse went out the window when you hired Ben Johnson. Now it's about his rapport with Caleb Williams, and Caleb Williams showing some consistency in the passing game, making quick, precise decisions, and when he needs to go into playmaking mode, have the ability to do that, but not let that be the ultimate thing that he wants to do every time he's on the field. Controlled environment.
Let's stay in the division. Taking a look now at the odds to win the NFC North, courtesy of ESPN Bet Sports, with the Lions listed as favorites to three-peat with plus 140 odds, followed by the Packers at plus 250, Vikings plus 350, and Bears plus 450. Want to focus on the Packers, though, gentlemen. And I'll start with you, Canty. How many teams are you taking over Green Bay in the NFC?
There are only 2 teams definitively better than the Green Bay Packers. I'm rolling with the reigning defending champs, the Philadelphia Eagles. And then, of course, the Detroit Lions. I think what we saw at the end of the season in the post.
Now, hold on. We're going to stop right there because maybe I'm blind and I don't have the vision to see this specifically. What in the hell do people see in the Green Bay Packers this year? Jordan Love has been injury prone every year of his starting career. He got what I classify as a undeserved bag, but I don't care because he don't play for my team. It won't count for my salary cap. Nonetheless, the Eagles and the Lions are the only teams that he believes has more of a shot to get to the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl when it comes to one NFC. I disagree wholeheartedly. Let's hear what Chris got to say still. Let me stop interrupting Chris.
Season for them was an aberration because of all of the injuries that they had. Over a dozen guys on IR on the defensive side of the ball, including a guy that will likely be the highest paid defensive player in the NFL history in Aiden Hutchinson when that deal gets done. So I think those 2 rosters are better than the Green Bay Packers, but we can't dismiss this Packers program and what Matt LaFleur has been able to do transitioning from Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love. They've been the youngest team the last 2 seasons in the NFL. They were the youngest team to win a playoff game in over a century a couple of years ago in Dallas. I have a lot of confidence in what they're building. Last year, they were the only team in the NFL that was top 5 in total offense and defense. They got better up front on the offensive line this offseason by adding Aaron Banks to be their left guard. They re-signed some guys up front as well. They fortified that area of their team. They understand the bar to clear are those 2 teams in the NFC, so they got a lot bigger. They got a lot tougher up front, which is what you have to do. And then they got a quarterback in Jordan Love, when he's at his best, can play with any quarterback in the National Football League.
Stephen A?
I love how you threw that out, that last part out. You know, Jordan Love, when he's at his best, he can play with anybody in the league.
When is he at his
Talk
best?
about Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, and you give him a 1. Oh, well, yeah, chair 1. That's it. It's amazing. It's amazing. I should call you Doggy Canty. You understand? Or Mad Dog Canty. That's what I should call you. That's how inconsistent his stuff was. His dribble was yesterday. All right. But that's neither here nor there. Yeah, that's right. Don't get me started with Doggy talking about how prideful and a winning franchise the Cleveland Browns were when they haven't won a title since Jim Brown was playing. That's what Doggy said on national television yesterday. Go figure.
All
but
hate
back
for the Browns.
to you. When I look at the Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love is a stud, and I get that. The brother can play in the regular season. I'm looking for him to show up in big moments. Now, I know that he blitzed the Cowboys in the postseason. I get that part. But I'm looking for, well, that ain't hard to do. That's what happens to the Cowboys. They're there for you to, they're sacrificial lambs come playoff time. We all know this. But the point is, when I look at the Green Bay Packers,
Focus on
I'm
Jordan
like
Love.
thinking Eagles, okay? I got the Commanders because of Jaden Daniels.
And let me know
I
if you're
got
getting some buffer on
Tampa
everybody.
because of Baker Mayfield and the way that brother has been playing. We're going to have to fall back and give Baker Mayfield some love. That brother's been balling, y'all. Okay? I'm looking at those guys and, of course, the Detroit Lions. Those are all teams that I would pick before the Packers right now.
How many teams you picking before the Packers?
Y'all want mine? I got paperwork.
What the hell you mean? You're on television, man. Of course we on.
I got 5 teams.
Okay.
I got
got paperwork. I got 5 teams. Eagles, Lions, Rams, Commanders, and San Fran. All right? And
No,
here's the
no
reason
Commanders
why.
and no
I didn't
San
take
Fran.
into account that
Stafford.
Matthew Stafford may be hurt. Yeah, exactly. So we have to be under the premise that everybody is healthy. That's
Hit that like
how I
button,
was
by the
thinking
way.
about this. And it's because consistency has been Jordan Love's issue, right? And all of these teams that I look at, they make you pay for that. Jordan Love is phenomenal. I think he's a super talent, and he's on his way as far.
There you are. You can always listen to us on Unsportsmanlike and the ESPN app, Sirius XM 80, all of our great ESPN radio
trying to get to
stations
Bears
across
talk that's relevant
the United States
before
of
I move
America,
on
and we
to
continue to reiterate,
good people.
send us your best stuff. We'll use it. We'll play it. Stations like 94.5, ESPN.
Where we saw Andrew Luck, RG3, and Russell Wilson all have success right out of the gates. I think you have the potential. Correct.
Right? If
Are you starting a business? Do you need a logo?
There we go.
Design.com
Everybody,
offers the world's
my apologies. We working.
Understood. That
Okay.
makes
The best thing he did.
that's a start.
Yeah.
That is, in all seriousness.
We're going last year today. So last year today, Chris Canty made a statement about the Bears.
I don't think he was as good as Jay.
Let's see.
Two for 3.
I think you can Barry Horowitz that. The old WWE jobber, as they say, the guy
Let's
that
see.
loses on
Let's
purpose
hear what
by
it says.
patting
Let's hear what
himself
they
on the
say.
back, as he would do when he would come into the ring. I mean, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, but
And
Caleb
this is from
Williams,
Yeah, but
Unsportsmanlike.
he wasn't.
they were 5-12, Evan.
I understand.
They were 5 and
I don't
12.
think he
7
was-
games under 500. No,
I
it's
don't
not
think he
close.
was nearly as bad as some people have made him out to be.
Wasn't good.
I don't think he was as good as Jaden, obviously, or Bo Nix.
No. He clearly wasn't as good as those guys. By NFL standards, he was not good. The best thing he did was not turn the ball over.
By NFL standards, he wasn't good. Now, let's go through NFL standards and determine what is not good classified to anybody else in the chat. Let me know what you classify as not good. Because the only thing, as I continue to elaborate on and reiterate several times, is the only thing Jaden Daniels did better than Caleb last year was win. And that's a very important thing, but lest we not forget, that is a team concept, and there were a lot of things that did not go in my team's favor, to say the least. And so when he asserts that Caleb had this horrible year, by no stretch of the imagination will I say he had a good year, but I will surely not put it in the framework in which Christopher Canty does. Let's carry on.
It's the best thing
Well,
he did.
that's a start.
Yeah.
That is, no, in all seriousness, that is a start.
That's a start.
Ball
but that-
preservation is a thing.
Yeah, but that doesn't make you a good quarterback.
Understood. That
Okay.
that gives you an opportunity to continue,
Correct.
right? If you're a turnover machine, you're not going to get the opportunity to continue. And unfortunately, I know. As a former quarterback, no big deal.
The Ocho.
So this rookie class last year was excellent all across the board, right? Just in general, when we're combining them all together, because we didn't even mention Drake May, who did not have the coaching last year all across the board, not just head coach, that he has this year. I think the Patriots have 4 former head coaches on the staff, including multiple on the offensive side of the ball. Josh McDaniels, Doug Marrone, Thomas Brown. Like they're loaded for Drake May this year. So which second-year quarterback's going to have the better season, Caleb or Bo Nix? And
He gonna say Bo
or
Nix.
do you want to
I bet
put
you.
Drake in there?
He'll say
I
Drake
would-
too.
if Jaden's
He'll say
one-
anybody but
I don't know
Caleb.
that Drake has the weapons, and I don't know that that's how Mike Vrabel wants to play. I think it's going to be a hell of a lot of Travion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson, and I know you love that.
Sign me up.
With that rebuild offensive line, I know you love that.
Sign
So I
me
don't
up.
know. I don't know that Drake May is going to put out the gaudy numbers that the other two have.
Herbert-like season from last year, maybe?
Yes, absolutely.
Touchdown-interception ratio, unbelievable. Just not high number of touchdowns.
Yeah, not a high number of pass attempts in general.
Fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
What expectations do you have for OBJ with the
So
field?
that leaves Bo Nix, and I think Bo Nix.
You think Bo Nix better
is
already?
the trigger man for an offense that has a chance to be sneaky good. People don't realize this, but the Denver Broncos offense was top 10 in terms of points. They can score.
That's
Sean
nice.
Payton has always had prolific offenses. The defense has ebbed and flowed, but with the New Orleans Saints, he's always had good offenses. I think it'll be the same with the Denver Broncos. He's got a guy that processes information quickly, that's sneaky athletic, and has a quick release. Bo Nix
like
is
Bo.
a tailor-made quarterback for a Sean Payton
And I really
offense.
say every
So
quarterback that played
I love what they
or
got going.
that was drafted last
I
year,
dare
I like
you
them all.
to let me
I
build
like
you.
all of them. But we're going to get into some camp takeaways from the good side. And they're going to be honest about everything, and I'm okay with that too. So let's go ahead and hear with Tom Waddle, Mark Silverman, Waddle and Sylvie on ESPN. Let's see what they're saying.
Kid just defined it as a kick in the rear end. I hope that's all there is.
We've had a lot of talk about
talented player, but
the tackles.
As an athlete, regardless of
tackles
your sport,
have really
there's really only two things. Maybe I'm being too
had the most negative reviews,
Critical?
including
no,
the left
I'm
tackle
trying to
position.
figure the word out. because
While
my
everyone
brain's
makes
not
every
functioning.
Give me a hint.
assertion about
Sounds like
Not myopic
assertion
or
is the
too
word I'm looking
basic
for.
or too
About
simple
Caleb.
with it. Because there are
My line
other
has
things
some
you can.
issue.
But the two of the most important things you can control as an athlete
okay.
are your focus
Mm-hmm.
and your conditioning. You have control over all
Right.
both
Tom
of those.
Waddle
Conditioning,
referring to my right
focus,
tackle,
hustle.
Darnell
Right.
Wright.
Like
Yeah,
that
well,
goes
that's
with it.
effort. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When I'm talking about your conditioning and your fatigue level and all that stuff,
You're
I
putting
kind of
effort
throw
in
that
there.
all into your into your effort, like your focus and your conditioning. You're not an airline pilot, okay? So you have to know what it takes for you physically to play out there, and he knows.
Hold on. Are you saying that the airline pilots are not in good shape?
I did not say that.
What would you mean by that, though?
The airline pilots it's not necessary for an airline pilot to go through an entire 6-month regimen of physical activity the way that a starting right tackle in the National Football League would go through. In similar fashion, I wouldn't expect a right tackle in the National Football League
To fly a
to
plane.
be on an airplane simulator for 6 months trying to figure that out, if you know what I'm saying. It's just, those are the types of things that are disheartening to hear. Is it the end of the world? No. Is it something that need to be said? Obviously, yes, and I'm glad that it was said. But it's just disheartening to hear. Do you think that Dan Rochar is saying, yeah, you know what? Joe Tooney guy,
Right. That's
like,
a good example.
Joe Tooney is
he's playing
all-pro
really,
left
really
guard.
good at times. But when he loses focus and he gets a little fatigued, he's not stacking. No. Like, you're never going
What's
to
up
hear
with
a
you,
coach
Tucker? How you
say
feeling
that
this morning?
Joe Tooney lacked focus
Come on,
or
brother.
wasn't in shape at any point. Joe Tooney may make some mistakes physically
We
over
are
the
doing
course
some
of time.
review.
But
on
you're
some
never going to
negative
have to look at
and
Joe
positive
Tooney and question
things
whether or
going on
not
right
he is
now.
focused or he is
Don't
in
know what
shape.
you have heard on the
And that's why
radio,
it just
but
was a little
what
disheartening
might be an
for
issue
me to hear that.
so
Again,
far from camp
I expect
into
him to
the
be fine on that side.
16th
I
day
hope
of practice.
that Darnell Wright
What
propels
is something that
himself
if you
into that
concerned
Pro Bowl
still about the
category
Bears,
type of
Mr. Blue
offensive tackle.
Facts?
And I get it. Lane Johnson plays right tackle, I believe. Panay Sewell plays right tackle. That's tall timber. That's stiff competition. But you know what? You were drafted with the 10th overall selection in the draft 3
He
years
said Braxton
ago.
Jones
So
is
my
what
hope is that he
Cash
develops
said.
into a Pro Bowl caliber right tackle. So I think that's going to be solid over there. But that's the last thing you want to hear when you got stuff going on the other side.
Right. That's the combo platter. And I want to play you something from polls from a few years ago, but that's the combo platter. You're getting a situation where I don't think they have an answer at left tackle yet. And the right tackle, who is your veteran, who is a top 10 pick, is being called out for his effort, his
Shout out
focus,
to
and his fatigue.
Juicy Juice.
You know
I
what I'm saying?
know
Like,
Juicy
that's
don't like
the
sports,
double dip
but
there.
No, it's why it
See,
kind of
still
caught my
willing
ear the
to,
way it did yesterday.
By the way,
Carry
the
me
Cubs
up
just
and
took a
pop in on
1-0
some of that
lead.
good-
Michael Busch with a home run.
Insurmountable lead.
Their second hit of the game. So Sean Nearly took him out just before that, and Michael Busch solo home run.
Didn't Bushy hit one last night too?
I
Or
believe
no?
so. Yeah,
Did he?
yeah, right.
That's-
That's how they scored their first run. It is 1-0 Cubs, top of the 6th inning. Scherzer pitching for the
All right,
Blue
Sylvia, you
Jays.
getting away.
So I want to play you this.
Talk
Like
about
this came
the
up on the
Bears.
brain. I was having a discussion with someone. I'm like, oh yeah. I don't know if you remember this. So, first of all, let's.
Just let me give y'all a quick backstory real fast. I go through some of these videos and I'm listening to the pods at that particular time myself as a fan, and I hear something that piques my interest that I absolutely want to document or talk about, chronicle, however you want to look at it. And the issue with that is oftentimes I'm doing this while I'm walking the streets and walking my route, and there is no pen and paper to jot down a note right then, nor is there an opportunity for me to look down at my phone perhaps and check or timestamp where said conversation took place. And so I say all that to say that moving forward, I will try to do my best on my own live streams to create chapters, I believe is the term that will be most appropriately used, and give out some timestamps in the comment section, or not the comments, but the description of the video. So moving forward, if anybody wants to look for a particular issue, area of enjoyment, or a topic that they wanted to comment on specifically, my next focus is to go ahead and create chapters to go along with my live stream videos and those pre-recorded videos as well. So if we don't start to see this in the near future, please hold me accountable. Leave a comment. Simply, Postman, do your damn job. I will know exactly what it means, and I will get back to doing my job. But let me find out exactly what Mark Silverman is moving into, because we are trying to get Bears commentary to react to, not the Cubs or anyone else. So let's get back to it.
Set the backdrop. The Bears originally had the number 1 overall pick, and then traded down to number 9 after they got the trade with Carolina.
So that was the initial
And
trade
yet,
to get
the
DJ
number 1
Moore.
rated prospect in that draft fell from number 1 to number 9.
Javon Carter.
Yeah,
Jalen
so
Carter.
you could have Carter on the team, and there were questions
We could have
about
had
Carter.
Jalen
He had the
Carter.
legal issue with the
I
car
want to
racing.
know if anybody
and then there
still has a
was
regret
talk out
about
of Georgia.
not taking
Does he
Jalen
love
Carter
football?
over
Is he going to be in
Darnell
shape?
Wright.
Is he going to practice hard
I
and
just
give
need Darnell
effort? So
to
now
show and
you're
prove
having third year.
and be
You're wondering,
a
but let's
top-rated
not forget
player
this.
at your position, and I won't regret
Charlie,
it. Otherwise, I
not
will.
Charlie, Jack, do you
Jalen
have
is
the
moving
soundbite
forward.
from Ryan Poles back after the Bears made Darnell Wright the draft pick in 2023?
Yes, and it starts talking.
That's
Do
more.
is put on the film of the Bears in the red zone in their game against the Miami Dolphins this past Sunday.
You know,
And it's on the drive where Tyson Bagent throws the touchdown pass to Alexander.
I'm not getting what I want from
On
this
the
particular
first
video
play-
right now, and I don't know where to find it. Next, Windy City Breeze, Pat the Designer, did have a few camp reports. Pat has been what I would like to say, pretty fair. Even when I disagree with Pat the Designer and the way in which he depicts things or goes about it, there is constant confirmation that he is thorough in the way in which he ingratiates himself. Pat is a Chicago-raised kid, much like most of the guys that are on ESPN 1000. And Pat started out as a YouTube streamer. Did a lot of legwork during the pandemic and things like that to try to get connected to the sports world and to the Bears and things like that. Specifically, him and the guy CEO Hayes. Shout out to Matty Pace. Put me in a little bit of a rarefied air. Nonetheless, Pat has shown the grind to move from just a podcaster to a ESPN personality. Let's get into perhaps some things that he got from day 16 at camp before we got into the scrimmage, I believe. I believe day 16 is the day before the scrimmage.
You don't have to be a VIP.
We always gonna get past it. I hope everybody's having a fantabulous morning. I know it is early, but yesterday we had a few, let's say, how do I put, the neighborhood does not function well when it comes to an overuse of the internet at times, and students are back
It's
in
another
school.
edition of the Chicago Bears podcast coming your way. Pat the Designer back at it again. I don't even know what day of camp this is anymore, but training camp still going on, and I'll be honest with you. A
If you are
nice
new
day
to the
for
page,
the first
please
team
hit that subscribe
offense.
button.
When
If
you
you
could
are
run
here
the
in
plays. We'll
attendance,
talk
please
about
hit
what
that
I
like
mean
button.
on that.
Please
Got to
leave me
talk about the
comments.
fact that Ben Johnson
And
announced
tell
that
me
the
some things that
starters
we might want to
will
discuss
play.
as
What does that
Bears
mean for
or
reps
sports
coming up
topics
this
in
week?
general
And we got to
moving
talk
forward.
about the left tackle competition.
Also, join me
a
tomorrow,
new name
12 p.m.
thrown
Eastern
into
Standard
the
Time.
mix, kind of, maybe
And
a little
we
bit.
will
We'll
get
see. All that and more in
into
today's
some
episode of the
season
Chicago Bears podcast. Hit that like
predictions.
button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Today's episode is brought to you by the Advantage Dealer Group. Find your next Chevy, Toyota, or Acura drive off in under 60 minutes, or they'll make your first car payment. Also brought to you by the Hard Rock Casino in Northern Indiana. Las Vegas style gaming, just 30 minutes from Soldier Field, exit 6 right off of I-80 94. All right, let's start with the big news. The starters will play this Sunday. Ben Johnson talked about
As
that.
we heard.
We talked to him at the podium earlier today.
Everybody
before
who was
practice.
disappointed last week can
I
be
think that he hasn't
excited
picked out
this
the
week.
reps yet. You know, I think this is a big move that the starters
I
are
think they
going
may
to
get
play. He
2
hasn't said
series,
how much the starters
perhaps a
are
quarter.
going to play. I would assume not a ton, everybody. But on a Sunday night game, it is nice to see the first team offense go out there and to see them get real reps versus a defense in the Buffalo Bills that probably is going to be pretty good this season. Looking at, you know, kind of Caleb Williams and what he's going to get out of the day, I think that the most important thing that we continue to see be an issue here at camp is the thing that I want to see them kind of get together in a real game situation, which is the pre-snap issues. It's the thing that I'm most concerned about with this team. I think it's the thing that, if we're being honest, it's going to hold the team back the most, because when the plays actually run, we're seeing an offense that does click. We're seeing Caleb be able to link up with Olamide Zaccheaus. We're seeing Caleb be able to link up with Rome Odunze, right? He's able to go out there and make those plays. But right now, I think the most important thing is getting the play run right without
And
a
lo and
penalty
behold,
to start the play off. It doesn't matter how good you
I go out here and we talk about chapters and everything. Pat the Designer, once again. Now I know this is the ESPN production, so maybe the producers and everything put this together, but we got chapters, guys.
are at executing the
I'm
play.
scrolling
If the
through to
play
see
can't
exactly
get
what
started
chapter it
because
is
of
that
an
I wanna
illegal
focus in on
formation, or
specifically.
because of a false start, or you get a holding penalty out there, right? Technique is everything. The details is everything. That's what Ben Johnson has told
Pre-snap
us
is
so
an
much,
issue, so we
and
wanna
that's
talk
what
about
I
it
want to
from the
see
camp
this
aspect.
Sunday with the starters out there. Where are you at in-game situation with your details? I love the fact that we are going to get to see the first team start.
Now, what Pat or most people don't allude to when they talk about issue with pre-snap penalty, they always talk about pre-snap penalty, but rarely do I hear anything that speaks to who is the culprit or culprits when we speak about this pre-snap penalty. And so somebody is making these mistakes out there from the front five to someone in the backfield. And I want to know exactly who it is that is causing these pre-snap penalties, because it may give a better insight into how it could be fixed or what they're doing to address it. Obviously, it's going to be different things for different positions, but we can look at it that way. But we can be excited to know that they will be working on some of those things live game on a Sunday night, no less. So that means people will be watching, and I'm very hopeful that we can go about the business of looking like a clean offensive unit, getting everything going, continuing to have the defense show up like they have throughout the course of camp, as it's been reported for the last few days, especially in the joint scrimmage with the Miami Dolphins and even more impressively with the Buffalo Bills yesterday, as the Bears came up again with 3 interceptions of Josh Allen. I know it's practice, but this practice is a little bit more important out here when we talk about things that go on in the world of football. And so we will get back into a bit more of this conversation, and then we will move on to some injury concern and some player concern.
Starters, I would tell you, though, to kind of temper your expectations. Ben Johnson has not been
Definitely
one
need
to
to get
start
reps,
his quarterbacks
Tucker.
very much. Usually the first year that he's in charge. I actually did a little research before the Morning Breeze this morning, and, 2023, Jared Goff ended up playing with Ben Johnson. He threw 3 passes in the game. He completed 2 of them. I believe he did score a touchdown in that, and they got him out of the game. Is not a ton of passes coming, but he did see how he operated the offense. 2024 or 2023, 2024, you didn't see that anymore. Jared Goff didn't start another game. I would expect there not to be a ton from Caleb Williams in this game, and I would hope for not a ton from Caleb Williams in this game. I'm looking for one drive, one score, get out, because that's what the best of the best quarterbacks usually find a way to do. I know Joe Burrow ended up playing a couple of reps, but we're not in those days anymore where somebody's going to play a full half, or we saw Tyson Bagent do it, but again, backup quarterback. Your starters aren't playing usually full quarters, full halves. I would expect to see a drive, maybe 2 from Caleb Williams as far as snap count there, and because it is about the reps that they feel are very valuable in the joint practice. We'll see how the joint practice goes. That's also something Ben Johnson told us. They also feel that they can get more reps. According to Ben Johnson, they got Caleb Williams 100 reps that he wouldn't have gotten by doing practice the way that they did, by running the system the way that they did,
now let's see if that
where he
benefits
doesn't
us.
play in the game, but where he gets those
Let's see if that benefits us to do it exactly how he spoke about it. Let's see if it works out to go ahead and give us the benefit of these pseudo 100 reps.
Pre-game, I guess, practice reps that he's able to add in, plus the practice that they had the day after the game. So we'll see how this ends up working out for the Bears. But at a minimum, you will get to see the starters both on offense and on defense. Very intrigued to see what Dennis Allen's defense looks
we've
like
heard a
with
lot
the
of
big
negativity
name
about
guys
Caleb.
out there. Let me know
We'll move
what
along
you're
with
excited
some
to see from the starters out there.
concerns or
I just got
comments
done
about
talking with Al Harris up there as we got a chance to talk with the assistants, and I'm extremely excited.
Boom.
Also announced by Ben Johnson, Kyler Gordon will be week to week at this point. Hamstring injuries are something that are very, very scary to play with. It's something that could be a 2-week injury. It's something that could be a 2-month injury. We've seen hamstring injuries linger as long as 6, 7. I mean, Justin Jefferson had a hamstring last year that seemed like it lasted forever. And sometimes you never truly get over them. Kyler Gordon, a big part of this Bears defense. Not going to see him on Sunday. The belief is that, they're hoping to still get him back for that week 1, but you truly got to keep an eye on a hamstring injury, because you don't know, where that's going to go. You don't know if let's try and get it back out there. Let's push him to get back out there by week 1. Now it turns into he doesn't play for the first 5 weeks.
To say the least.
We've seen how hamstring injuries can get ugly. Something you have to be very delicate with. Same situation. I don't know if it's the same injury, but kind of how they're treating Jalen Johnson here. That same way, talking about very vague on the injury, still just talking about, you never know with injuries like that how it's going to go. I don't think any of us have asked Ben Johnson directly what the injury is, and maybe that needs to be the thing that we do when we get a chance to talk to him again, because he seems that he keeps talking like, we know everything that the injury is, and at least and let me know if in the comments if anybody else has reported it or anybody else has heard. I don't remember hearing Ben Johnson tell us what the injury was, but he says he's being extremely careful in dealing with that, that he's being extremely careful in how, they're going to go about the business of getting Jalen back worked in, trying to get him out there for week 1. So some of the injuries there, just a little update. He does say, though, that Jalen Johnson is still on track to be there week 1. But remember, Luther Burden was on track to be there for training camp. Colston Loveland was on track to be ready to go for training camp. And I believe mini camp was supposed to be a part of that as well. And we didn't see them meet those deadlines. Now, those are camp practices, very different. A game on day 1 is an extremely different conversation, especially when you've got the dogs over there. They do now.
And it's
they
so speaking
continue
chapters,
to
but
have
let me tell you,
wide
these
receivers
chapters are
in
improperly
Minnesota
labeled.
get put on IR or season-ending injury. I mean, like it is getting ugly up there, or getting suspended for some of the dumbest things that we've seen. Very intrigued to see, what is that going to look like when you're not the main guy? How are you still making an impact? Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. I'll be down to talk with you guys as well. Let's keep it moving along, though. We do got to get to some housekeeping here with some of the injuries that we had here. The big thing right now, and probably the big instance, and I'm extremely excited to see what Jaquan Brisker looks like in this first. If it, let's try and get him back out there. Let's push him to get back out there by week 1. Now it turns into that he's being extremely careful and having an injury. I mean, like it is getting
it's making me mad
up there. It's cleaned up. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the first play of the season was a false start here and there, but we're not talking about every single drive being hampered down by penalties. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. One final thing before I get out of here. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love as always.
And cornerback battles. There are no battles, but there are injuries to the secondaries we spoke of right there, or at least as Pat mentioned. With that being said, Nahshon Wright is continuing to make headlines. Had one of the 3 interceptions yesterday, along with Kevin Byard and one Tremaine Edmonds, who has shown propensity or proclivity, as a TI might say, to go out there and stick to the football. So at least he looks like he may be about to earn that whole entire paycheck that he's getting these days. Also, Tyreek Stevenson is continuing to get reps. And the secondary, while banged up, I still think that the depth of it will be able to hold up if the front line does its thing. And speaking of the front line, rookie Shamar Turner returned yesterday. Not to full contact, but he did suit up, have some team drills and things like that. So he is trending in the right direction to go ahead a little earlier than thought, I might add, to be back on the field and get back into that defensive line rotation, get some meaningful reps. Perhaps week 3, he will be able to play in that last preseason game. And as you know, the people that play in that game will play an extensive amount because this is an evaluation period. He has missed some of that time, so they may give it the opportunity for him to go ahead and do so just the same way. And it will give us the opportunity to evaluate all of the other tertiary players on the roster, the Theo Benedettes that have been going back and forth in terms of cash. My apologies. Back and forth with the whole left tackle, right tackle things. Ozzy Trapillo has, I don't want to say relegated, but has been shifted to the right side, second string for the most part. We are going to see what concerns people have about what is going on with the left tackle position, Super. We got Big Texas in the building. But as we go through this right here, we will attempt to see if we get anything about the left tackle position.
You had Karan Amagaji taking snaps. And I'm going to be real with you. I've said this before. It's felt like Karan has been out of this race for a while. When looking, and I'm not a body language guy, but when you look at him on the field, it feels like he knows he's out of the race. I don't know if you should be concerned by the demeanor or the attitude. But I do know that if he's going to be the 3rd left tackle on this team, it's time to try him at guard.
I look different. I play different.
Boxing's the Wild West.
Like he's a
Super. We are going through some Bears commentary to find out exactly
if you feel like we need to be starting the Canadian Eagle Theo Benedict over Braxton or over Karan Amagaji, let's pull that Band-Aid off there because and this wasn't an issue. I think that.
So, Super, I don't know how much you follow your football team and what's going on with your line, but the Bears have always had a propensity to have a bad offensive line right now. These recent decades with a splash of good here and there. And right now, the left tackle position is still up in the air. it was started as a 3-man race with the incumbent Braxton Jones, Ozzie Trapillo, the rookie we just drafted from Boston College in the second round, and last year's third-round pick who spent a large majority of the year injured, Karan Amagaji, who Pat the Designer is talking about right now. Karan, I think, like I said, is better suited to be a guard, an interior lineman at some point. Still a bit raw, hadn't had a lot of game action, but overall, I want to see that the line has formulated some stability because in about 3 weeks, it's time for the real to get to the real. We need y'all to be out there getting it. Man, Super, I'm going to be off for about four days right now. Let me see, yesterday, today, tomorrow, maybe 4 or 5 days right now. We're going to go back to work for a few days. We're going to come back home. We're going to take a few more. Next end of the month is the wife's birthday week, so it's always time to get to the grind and figure out how we're going to celebrate. The grandkid just turned 1 3 days ago. Shout out to my sugar mama. But other than that, football season's upon us. I'm a fantasy football guy, you know. I'm a real football guy. We a betting guy. So today we are breaking down some of the training camp aspects before my panel discussion tomorrow on the pregame and making some predictions on my team with my BFFs. So that should be a good episode just in that particular vein itself. But let me get back to what he's talking about left tackle wise, and we will see if we can make some sense of it.
This was a bodies issue. Darnell Wright got the start with the ones on the right side. Ozzie Trapillo out there with the ones on the right side as well. Or it could be they truly believe Braxton Jones is going to be the starting left tackle, and Ozzie Trapillo is going to be the swing tackle for this team. So we better get some reps in on both sides of the football. 100% could be the case in this situation, and you want to get the Theo Benedict worked into the mix. But I was surprised at seeing Theo Benedict be ahead of Karan today, and I just think that signifies we feel like you're the one that is pulling the rear right now. And we need to find a better spot for you. Or is it going to be we're going to cut bait with you? Again, Karan, maybe it's depth, but I haven't seen Karan have this great day. I haven't seen Karan have a day where we're coming back and we're like, yo, this is it. He's finally, it's starting to click for him. He's not great, but it is starting to click for him. Okay. Theo Benedict had a solid day today. Again, against the twos, more so against the twos than anything. But I thought he had a solid day today where,
some people,
not that I would sit there and say I want him to be the starting left tackle, not even over Braxton. But it looked like he knew how to play the position and that he could hold his own, especially when he was in there on the rep with Joe Tooney. I just, finishing this out
at the end of his
the one thing that I do want to see with how this tackle competition is going to play out is truly how the guys consistently look
experience
next to Joe Tooney.
They consider him raw.
That's the thing that I think you could kind of hang your hat on and feel a little bit more comfortable.
Third round picks.
I continue to say this: Braxton Jones in the run game will be fine. I know everybody wants to pull up the play where he gets beat to the inside, and yeah, that was bad. And those are the moments where you feel like Ozzie is going to be better. I looked back at that game and I said Ozzie had a pretty good game. I think he's going to be your starting left tackle. Feels like Braxton is still kind of in the lead for that job. We'll see how that.
We made several offensive line changes this year. On the interior, changed both guards, signed a new center, and most would classify, as far as PFF, ESPN, and everything like that, the lowest I've seen our offensive line ranked by them is 7. I've seen it as high as 3. All of that has to bear out, and we got to see it coming to fruition. Nonetheless, when they sit here in camp and they get to look at some of those things, Super, it begs the question if in fact the hype is due or too much, or are there still things that won't be able to be masked when it comes to the deficiencies of, especially I would say, the left tackle position. And I say that because when I first got into the discussion about the left tackle, my thought process was that if Braxton is able to be ranked 22nd, I believe, in PFF So that would say he's slightly under average, but I think it's ranked on more than 32 linemen. So let's just say he's a middle of the pack guy. I would assume that a middle of the pack guy lining up next to a all-pro, multi-time Super Bowl winning Hall of Fame left guard, I would have assumed initially that it gives him some sort of a leg up in terms of some technique, some followings, and some things that will allow him to be a better version of himself. Everybody in camp right now, as far as the camp reps, are not proving those types of things just yet. So the jury is still out as to whether or not they can. At the same time, tonight, or Sunday night, I should say, will give us somewhat a better indication in the sense that it would allow us to see them perhaps against other ones, but it will actually get to see them on a game type of environment. I say type of because it's preseason, but you'll be with the lights. You'll have the public eye on you, and this won't be some closed circuit where nobody can see what's going on type of ordeal. Any mistakes that are made will be on display. They will be even more heavily scrutinized than the ones that we make from the sidelines and we don't know. So imagine the context is if they get to see anything that doesn't pan out the way in which they perceive it to, they're going to have a field day with it because they already do. So, training camp and camp itself, in my estimation, is where you get to work out all of your mistakes. That's what practice does. At the same time, we want to see that the mistakes you make are things that are correctable. And also, for myself, I want to know that those are things that you will correct. But we won't spend much time on it. That is a concern. It is something that they'll get to look at and go about the business of determining. I got confidence in my new coaching staff that they will be able to put together a game plan, because your blocking assignments don't just fall on your offensive linemen. They follow the feet of every offensive player out there because everybody has a role on that 11, including the quarterback, as to how we block up things from recognition, from the schematic adjustments, down to the situations that allow each person to pick up blitz, give a chip, go out there and get a quick route or a hot route. Any things like that that contribute to you not giving up sacks and getting plus plays are all things that are attributed to the entire offense. So Sunday night will give you a better opportunity to go ahead and look at it with a more public lens, for lack of a better term, and see if the things that have been said in camp line up more closely with what has been going on the field, or if the speculation that some of the negative comments that have been made by persons like Coward, maybe like a Chris Canty, some of the positive things from a Nick Wright or a Swagoo, maybe even a Chris Broussard. And speaking of Chris Broussard and Nick Wright, we are going to get some first things first over here. They have what they call a floor or ceiling prediction. Gives you what they think the best record a team could be and the lowest record. We're going to see some of these teams, or listen to a couple things about these teams. Let's go ahead and let me know your thoughts about if those said teams will hit the ceiling or their floor, and if you think that those are unfair floor and ceiling projections. So let's go ahead and click this button, get into the next video, and let's see what they got going on over here. Maybe G Honda might have an interest in this. Any Cowboys fans might have an interest in this.